Hello students. For those of you who made it to the B-Day live class video this morning, we talked about mark making techniques, and I wanted to go ahead and just give you a very brief demo of the various different types of mark making techniques, how you go about doing them. The PowerPoint presentation, I believe, gives you a good idea with several examples of how to do them. I just thought it might be a little bit easier if you could see me or see somebody in person do them. So the first one that we're going to do here is the hatch mark, hatching or whatever. It is just simply straight lines that are parallel. They run parallel to one another. The closer they are together and the more dense they are, the darker they're going to appear when doing an image or drawing an image. Whereas if you spread them out further, then it gives you more of a lighter value to your objects. So what I'm going to do here is we have 3 different blocks, and I'm going to try to go from dark to light. I'm going to do it at an angle just because I want it to be a little different, okay? So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to make lines. They all go about the same direction. I want them to be all about the same width apart, but as you can see, I'm not really trying to be perfect about it. I'm just going to kind of come in here and draw some lines, okay? Now, I want this area over here to be my darker side, so I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to add some more contour or some more lines in there, some more hatching in there. Okay? And some of them are over the top of the other ones. Some of them are making those lines thicker. Some of them it's just filling it in. So you can see there's definitely a difference between these sections here, right? So I'm going to keep coming in here and drawing more lines, more hatch marks, so that it fills this section in, okay? Then I'm going to slowly make fewer and fewer hatch marks. I still want it to be kind of dense because I still want it to have a decent amount of shading to it or value to it. But then as I get out here, I'm going to spread my lines out a little bit. And they don't actually even have to be complete lines. I don't know if you can see that or not. There you go. You just have to kind of get the look of lines in there, okay? And I think I kind of did this a little fast, so it's not ideal. But you can see that by going back and adding more lines on there, it makes it much more darker on the left and then lighter on the right. And a lot of times people will come in here and they'll just do a line every now and then to kind of give you that same feel, but it lets you know that it's lighter, very, very lighter there. I didn't say this at the beginning, but I would recommend using a pen for this. A lot of times if you're just doing a pencil drawing, it doesn't stand out quite as much. Obviously, when you're doing a drawing, you might want to go ahead and do the outline or the contour in a pencil, and then you can always come back with a pen whenever you're ready to shade it in and that sort of thing. So, contour hatching is like we talked about before, where you have your contour lines that go inside of your object. They go inside and, and they like mimic the curves or the contours of whatever your shape is. And also, when you think of the word contour, a lot of times it also means just the various surfaces. Contour doesn't necessarily have to mean the roundness of it or anything like that. It can just be that there are multiple surfaces for your object, okay? So this is your contour hatching. I'm actually going to go ahead and do kind of just a round shape. You normally want to go a little slower, and you probably don't even want to do lines as long as I'm making. That's actually just becoming, we're going to scratch that one out. That's actually just becoming hatch marks like I was doing before. So I want to go ahead and contour my lines here. So again, it's not really, there's not a huge difference between these two, but normally it's going to mimic whatever the shape of your object is. It'll go with that. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know. But then you just do the same thing you did here, but you want these to kind of be contoured to whatever the shape of your object is, okay? And the same thing happens just like it did with the hatching. If you come back in here on top of those lines and draw over it and put more contour lines in there, it just makes it darker and darker and darker. So that's what you're going to want to do. Now, cross hatching is probably one of the most well-known mark making shading techniques. A lot of artists use it, especially when it comes to pen and ink drawings. The way that you do that is you start off with your hatches going in one direction. Just like this, and they can be different lengths and everything. Okay, so you've got your hatch marks going one direction. Well, now to make them a cross hatch, and I tend to turn my paper whenever I'm doing this. To do a cross hatch, you want your lines to cross over it. So you can see how it's kind of giving it a different look. And again, the lines don't have to go all the way across. And when you do cross hatching, it can be just 2 different cross hatches, or if you want it to be really, really dark, you turn your page again and you do another cross hatch, okay? And that's going to give you an even darker shade. Now I'm going to go back to what I was doing before, and this time I'm just going to do the 2 cross hatches so you can see the difference. And whenever I turn my page, I don't want to turn it completely 50 degrees. I want to make sure that when my lines do cross against each other, they don't perpendicular. They're not exactly 90-degree angles. They're going to come off kind of the side a little bit, okay? So I'm going to try to make this not a 90-degree angle. I'm try to go a little slower, but for time's sake, I'm just trying to get it in there. And you want to try and keep your lines as consistent as possible. I'm not doing a great job of it right now, but you can see the difference between when you have 3 lines versus 2 lines. And then when you want to do it even lighter, you spread those lines out, okay? So I don't know if you can see that or not, barely, so it looks like you can see it. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to turn my page so that I can make a different direction of it, okay? But these lines are going to be quite a ways apart as well. And you'll notice when I get to this corner down here, I'm not going to go all the way to the corner, or I may go add a little bit of a one as I go out to the corner, but not all the way to the corner. That makes sense? I hope so. So you can see the difference in the dark, medium, and light, okay? Now, basket hatching or weave hatching is a little bit different. I've seen it done really, really well. I'm not a huge fan of it, but depending on what the object is that you're drawing, it may be perfect for whatever it is you're drawing. So you want to know how to do this one as well. So when it comes to this one, I tend to make 3, 4 lines or so, and you just go back and forth. Just like this. And you want to do, I can see that, yeah, there you go. You want to just do, you alternate whether I'm going vertical right now, and then I'll turn and I'll go horizontal, and then vertical, horizontal. And you do the same thing all the way down. And it's going to get off. It's not meant to be exactly perfect in line and everything. The closer you have, like if I come in here and I fill in some of these gaps between my lines, that's going to make the shading seem darker, okay? And also, if you don't let, there's not too much space between each one of your basket weaves, it makes it look much, much darker as well. So I'm just kind of coming in here and filling in some of the white area that I have. Okay. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you can see how dark it gets there. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to keep my marks a little further apart and put a little more white space in between each section. And this is just going two different directions. You'll notice in some of the basket weave that you see, they go all different directions. Maybe they go the direction of the plane that surface is, or for instance, when you have a cube, you might have some of them that go this direction, and then you may have some that go this direction. They just seem to go with whatever the direction is. I don't know if that makes sense. You can see that or not. It's kind of small. But some of them go this way. Some of them go this way. And some of them, sometimes they just change, and this one could go this way as well, just depending on the plane or the surface of your object that you're drawing, okay? So this would be my medium tone. And then I'd come over here and I'd spread them even further apart. And originally I was doing 4 or 5 lines. Now I'm only doing 2 or 3 lines. And it's not exactly perfect. You're never going to get things exactly perfect. Please know that. I don't want anybody searching or trying to reach for perfection, because you're just never going to find it, okay? No such thing. Okay, so you can see, and even from here to here, you could tell I kind of started lightening it up a little bit more either. But you've got dark, medium, and then a lighter version. Scrumble is one of my favorites. It is pretty much just scribbling. So, and it doesn't even, it can be just circles, and that gives you a certain look. Or it can be like triangles, which will give you another look. Okay. Or I like to just kind of go crazy and do all sorts of different back and forth in here. And all I'm doing is doing it over and over and over again, and I'm filling in all those gaps of white. And I'm not really worrying about which direction I'm going, because it's just scribble and it's all going to fill in on its own, okay? So then I'll do the same thing, and you'll notice I've got sharp points, I've got round points, I've got all sorts of things, okay? There's no real rhyme or reason to it, and I was telling one of my classes earlier, I tend to be very perfectionist and organized and planned, and to me this is very freeing, because I don't actually have to worry about what I'm doing and what it looks like, and I still get a good value difference, okay? Now then, stippling is very similar to, a lot of people will confuse stippling and pointillism, but pointillism has to do more with color. It's the idea of putting multiple colors together, multiple colored dots together to create a completely different color. Whereas stippling is just dots and black ink, okay, on white. And not normally it's just one color against a white or something. But you come in and you're just making dots. I wouldn't make them in like perfect lines or anything, because it's going to be very obvious once you start doing that you've got them in lines. And ideally your circles would be the same size whenever you're doing this, but I don't believe mine are going to, okay? But when you come in here, and the more dots you put together, the more you fill it in, the darker it's going to look. And be careful, because if you can see, if you get super duper, I hope you can see, if you get real hurried, your lines are going to start dragging from your dots. So I would just try to just do a small dot here and there. Just try to do And you can see I kind of got lines going there too. Don't do that. Do what I say, not as I do, okay? But you're just going to try and draw your little dots. Shoot. And to be honest, I don't have a ton of patience, and so I think this is part of why stippling is not really something that I enjoy. Okay, so I'm just going to do this corner, and you can see how it's kind of a mid-tone, I guess. But now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to fill in even more. Be nice if we had some music in the background, huh? Y'all bear with me. This is the first video or demonstration I've done like this, so I do hope you can see better than what it looks like on my phone that you can see. I hope you can see better than that. But if you can't, let me know, and I'm going to have to try to figure out something else so that you guys can see little demonstrations as well as get the PowerPoints and everything like that, okay? So I'm only going to do this one square, but I'm going to show you how you get the variety and the various colors or values, I should say, using just dots. And I'm sorry, you don't have to use one of these pens. If you have one of the nice art pens or something like that, you can use one of those, which would probably be much better than this pen. Or if I had even done a Sharpie, it would probably be better. And I'm going to come in here and add some more dots. Maybe some of the dots are a little bigger, maybe they're smaller. And I'm kind of going outside of my box here just to kind of give you an idea of what it's like to get lighter and lighter and lighter. I hope you can see these down here, but it just kind of gives you an idea of the darkest to the lightest. And this is nowhere even near as dark as it can get. I just don't think I have the right pen for what I'm doing. But I hope that this helps you guys just a little bit with how to do the different mark making techniques. If you have any questions, let me know. When you're doing this as your second journal entry, like I said, you can either print out this page and do it directly on this page, or you can just create little rectangles with 3 sections in them, okay? But I hope this helped you guys, and I will talk to you all next time we have class. See you later. Bye.